on deck. Next on deck.
Yo, in the house. Man, what's up, man? How's everybody doing, man? What's going on? Y'all good? All right, everybody. My name is Tim Black. Welcome back to the Tim Black Show. Yeah, every once in a while, I wonder how creative that name is, you know? Yo, what's going on, people? What's going on? We are live. We're live on X. We're live on YouTube, man. That's right. We're here. Who's in the house, man? Are my people here? What's up? I gotta say what's up to my moderators, man. Buck Bewley and Black Mamba. Give it up for them. Yo. Yeah, we here. M. Sparks, Tobias Grove, Ebony. Welcome back to the show, y'all. Good to have you back. What's happening, Captain Greeter, Skeptical Jerk, Honestly Speaking, or Honestly Telling, Galaxy Ravers. Welcome back, fam. Midnight Marauder. Okay, Anthony McDowell in the building. I see you. What is going on, Smooth? Smooth. Gotta be smooth with it. What's up, fam? Yo, Antonio. Elizabeth, how you doing? Welcome back, Elizabeth. Yo, we in the house, man. That's right, we here. Yeah. Wood Boy in the building. D. Harris came back. Sherry. Hey, Sherry, how you doing, sis? And I want to welcome anybody that's new that I'm missing. I'm scrolling. Look, man, it's crazy. It's a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind. That's what's happening, man. And damn it, Johnson. Hey, look, it's Sunday, start of a new week, and we like to start it off correctly. I want to say, what up to all the Tim Black Wolfpack members out there? We got some folks that are just amazing, man. They keep on supporting this old man do his thing, man. I want to thank y'all for supporting the senior citizens. Your OGs in the house. Yo, so tonight's show is brought to you by the Tim Black Wolfpack and the Tim Black Show mug, the legacy mug here. That's this mug, $20. It don't look like much, but it go in your dishwasher, your microwave. You put your dentures in there. You can put your tears in there. There's a lot of things you can put in there. You can hide candy from your kids in there. Put some money in there. Yo, so go ahead, go to timblackmug.com. Pick up your Tim Black legacy mug, man, right there. It's right there for you. Yeah, that's what it is. And I want you to know off the top here that it's going to seem like I'm doing news work, but really, we just having a conversation. That's all we doing, man. So, you know, I'm going to give you the news, but I'm going to give you my opinions as well. And opinions can't be wrong. They can just be rooted in reality or delusional. But opinions are rarely wrong because they're opinions. So you're entitled to yours. I'm entitled to mine. And I'm going to give you mine tonight along with the facts. So I'm going to give you facts, but then you're going to hear me. What else? Oh yeah. I gotta make sure it's clear. I got to make sure it's clear out there, and I wish other people would grasp this. We need to understand this. So I'm going to be open and honest with you. I am a Democratic Party hater. That's right. I'm a Democratic Party hater. Some people don't understand the concept. I hate the Democratic Party. They lie to black people all day, every day. That's what they do. That's why they exist. If they did not lie to black people, there would be no more Democratic Party. Nobody else votes for them like black people do. So, in order to keep us around, they have lied to us, manipulated us, scared us, use fear every election to tell us that the Klan is coming to get you. Now it's not even a Klan. They had to step it up. They said Hitler's coming to get you now. Yeah, they had to. Oh, Chuck Schumer. Yeah, the party of Nancy Pelosi and the party of Chuck Schumer had to step up the game, Johnson, and move to the whole new level of fear mongering. Fear mongering. Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to go voting for who you think is best. Oh no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to go thinking for yourself. Yeah, man, it's always funny to me. You know, it's always funny to me when I get these well-meaning liberals. They get all beside themselves. I can't believe you're thinking about not voting for the Democrat. It's like they're going to lose their damn mind, Johnson. I can't believe you're thinking about not voting for the Democrat. I was like, you better believe it. I'm thinking about not voting for the Democrat. They're about to have a damn nervous breakdown. Yo, man, so I just want that on the table, man. I want to be transparent, unlike some of these people. Yeah, man, some of these people don't want to be honest at all. They don't have to be honest. They can just lie. They'd be like, there are black people in independent media, for instance, and corporate media, who never really lived around working class black people ever in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Never really had the black experience. Because if you ain't had the black working class experience, you ain't really had the black experience, because the majority of black Americans in America, black Americans, are working class people. So if you haven't had that, you up here talking, this mouth just open, words coming out, lying to white people, lying to progressives and liberals like you know what black people think and shit. It's funny, man. It just it's a lot of them, man. They have no call of reference. Yeah, you know, some black progressives or some black like independents and Green Party people, and you know, God bless their hearts. They're just as delusional as Destiny and Vosh. They really are. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference? There are black progressives and liberals who are less black, and I'm saying because we ain't talking about skin tone. Let's see. They're less black than Sam Cedar. They are, real talk, man. At least Sam grew up in New York. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, so y'all know what I'm talking about. Look, I know some black people like, who the hell is he talking about right now? See, some of my black folks, like, you know, my black audience who listen to like alpha male, you know what I'm saying? They listen to like Tariq and Black Troop, Black Authority, Vicky Dillard, and Boyce Watkins. They don't even know who the hell I'm talking about. You know, I check out Yvette. You know what I'm saying? But there are people that are like under progressives and people in corporate media. just they just use their just like the actors, right? One of the big gripes is that in Hollywood, instead of casting like black Americans, they go across the pond and they get black Europeans. You know, they go get, you know, people from the UK that look like black Americans. And they come over and they get a voice trainer. They go hang out with Ice Cube for a couple weeks. Who my guy hang out with? Damson Idris, DJ Pooh. Who they hang out with, man? Corrupt from the Dog Pound. Who was he kicking it with? Yep, Dub C. To keep it gay. Dub C. To keep it gay. Dub C. Dub C. Dub C. That's why he came out there like, okay, now, come on now. Come on now. Oh, man, you have to step on up now. I put this thing together. Me. You know what I'm saying? That's why he went from, oh, Cheerio top, oh, Tubbo top, have some wafers top, and come on top. By the second, third season, he was like, come on now, say. Come on now, say. Come on, Jay. Put this thing together, me. You don't like the way it no nigga make it right. I put this thing together because you don't like the way it no you talk. You don't like the way it no. Well, so it's appalling. Thank you. Some of my best work, man. Up here burning calories, West Virginia. Well, a lot of African Americans have problems with this. Well, I messed up. I said African Americans. A lot of Black Americans have problems with this. And I understand it, Johnson. But what you don't understand, that's on the Hollywood stage. On the corporate media and the independent, which is corporate independent media, we had the same thing. Yeah. We got Black folks who didn't grow up around any working class Black folks. Oh, no. And to this day, don't socialize. To this day, don't socialize with any working class Black folks. And whenever a Black issue comes up, they be there talking, just talking. Don't have any color reference at all. And the white people so dumb. Well, actually, they're not dumb. They don't care. They don't really want an authentic Black voice to speak to Black issues because shit might get real. Yeah, they don't want that. That's not, they want the aesthetic. That's what my son says, because my son went to college, so he says words like aesthetic. Like, aesthetic. Yeah, Dad, they want the aesthetics, the aesthetic. Aesthetically, this was a very culturally diverse, divergent, intersectional. Like, my son, my man. Well, see, that's all they care about, see, optic. Optically, it looks like a diverse panel. But if they are social economically from the same class, and they're all, save for pigmentation, they're all pretty much the same. Because if you don't know what it's like, to fight roaches. You don't know what it's like to come home after a hard day's work and have mofos on the stoop in the way and shit. You don't know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even, when I was in my 20s, I lived in a neighborhood so bad that, it's just like, damn, I should have just moved back home. You know what I'm saying? I should have just divorced my wife. Look, baby, we ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? I moved back home with my mom. See if I can work this out. Y'all want story time? Here goes the story time. I was living in a place called Landover, Maryland, and a place called Dodge View. My people from Landover, Maryland, Prince George's County area will know this area. Not far from the 25-hour store, right? And this was on 202. And one time, I hope this is old enough that nobody gets shot behind this. It's one of my like a 50 Cent story. 50 Cent started telling these stories. So anyway, me and my roommate, who was staying with friend of the family, he was staying with us. Me and Big Mike, we was going to the store, and as we was driving out of Dodge View, it's this long street. We driving up the street, and we was trying to get through, and there was a lot of cars blocking because there's a lot of us was in the street. They was rolling dice, right? Come on now, come on, roll dice. It's everybody, betting this shit, what I'm saying? We drive past them slow and watch, what's up? All right. We went to the store, we came back. While we was at the store, we heard gunshots, you know what I'm saying? I ain't think nothing of it. Because if you were around Dodge View, not too far from Palmer Park, you don't hear, what I'm saying? Occasionally you're going to hear some gunshots. So as we was coming back, it was like a lot of people just milling around. They were no longer playing dice, so people still kind of milling around. And as we driving back real slow back up to the apartment, It was a dude laid out in the street. He was not moving. So went on to the house. It's like, damn, I don't know what happened there. That don't look good. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened. You know? So we was getting our bags out the car, about to go into the apartment, and this dude walks up. And he's like, hey, man, can I use your phone, cuz? Can I use your phone real quick? I was like, well, damn, bro, I don't really have a cordless phone. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, you know what I'm saying? This is, I don't have I had no cell phone. I had a phone in the house, man. Hold tight. So I go in the house, and I got the phone, off the thing. Let me use the phone. He's using the phone. He's in the hallway. And he used the phone. Okay. So then he leaves, and I'm standing on my porch. And he's about to leave. I'm standing on the porch, my balcony. He's standing there from the balcony talking to me. And this dude walks by, and he's real mad. Look on his face. And I don't know why his face is so twisted. And he had his hand in a bag. Yeah. I said, uh-oh. He said, bow, bow, bow. And then I'm like, what? Is he shooting at me? And the dude ran up the steps of the apartment building, ran to the roof, and the dude just kept on walking. He shot like 3 times left. Well, turns out, here goes the story. Turns out the guy that asked me to use the phone might have had something to do with the guy in the middle of the street. And see, I made a mistake of letting him use my phone, so now people think I'm with him. So I had to clear that up with the homies, because I did not know dude. And when the cops came, they was like, we need to ask you, see if you can identify. So then all of a sudden, I really didn't know dude. I'm like, I don't even know who that was. Well, why you let him use your phone? Well, I'm a nice guy, and he asked to use the phone, man. What am I tell you? You know what I'm saying? You never seen him? No, I ain't never seen him before. All that to say, these are the type of things can happen to you if you live in the hood. You be minding your business. Somebody get clapped. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time. You might get clapped just for being there, doing nothing but doing your business, minding your business. And if you don't understand how quickly things jump, people that shoot dice are fighting for resources. Somebody won, somebody lost, somebody was cheating, shit got serious real quick. But if you don't have any call or reference for these types of things, you don't understand the black historical, one of historical economic struggles in what happens in hood politics, what really goes there. And I'm just saying that story to say it was just a nice June day. It's just a nice June day after work. And never meaning no harm. Been in trouble with the law since the day he was born. Now I'm sure there's some white folks in here. Maybe. Still got a few of y'all. Still got a lot of y'all, actually. That's what's up. Y'all probably got similar stories where you can get mixed up into something your damn selves off your front porch or in your neighborhood because economically challenged areas, people, things happen, So I'm not going to say it's privy to one group of people, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure wherever there's economic struggles, when there are people fighting for resources, whenever people are self-medicating with drugs and alcohol, anything could jump off at any given time. People who are frustrated, traumatized, and living under those conditions and environment, anywhere in the world you go where people fight for resources and people at the bottom, there's going to be some type of violence in the proximity. That's just what that breeds, But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's not all about who, if you watch your own TV raps or if you like Kendrick Lamar's music, some of it's about what your experiences are. So when I'm talking about a story, when I'm reporting on a story that concerns a certain environment, I understand how things quickly shift and how a person may or may not be really choosing to be a part of the drama. But if you're in proximity of it, sometimes that's how easily you can be caught up and how easily you can catch a charge. Now, luckily, I was in my 20s when that happened, and I had the foresight, and I had worked in corporate America, and I had some things going for me where I was not a part of the dice game down there, but I also was smart enough to kind of get myself out of harm's way. But also due to the fact that I was 1 foot out into the corporate world just starting, it made me a little lame to the point where I was a little bit too open to homie using my phone. I should have put the gunshot together with the dude who was kind of sweaty when he asked to use my phone and how desperate he was to get a ride, that he was trying to secure a ride in a very desperate fashion. But you can't play them a type of away games. You got to be locked in. But I do understand that there are people with no reference at all. And time again, those be the people that be talking for all of Black America when when they only represent, dare I say, 10 to 20% of Black America. You see what I'm saying? And the vast majority, 60% or so, that may not live in those exact conditions, they live adjacent to them. Because in Maryland, for instance, you can live good hood, bad hood, neighborhood, good neighborhood, bad neighborhood, right up the street. Good neighborhood, nice neighborhood, war zone. Like that's how it is because we're very segregated. And then it's very class-based. And we all kind of, you don't see many very nice white neighborhoods by very heavily drug trafficked white neighborhoods like stuck together because that ain't the way America's built. But anyway, I digress. Look, folks, welcome to the Tim Black Show. Welcome to the Tim Black Show, where it's always an adventure. I don't know what's going to be said. I don't know what I'm going to say here. I want to give a big shout out to my brothers and sisters who know what I'm talking about, who can relate to it, who understand the everyday struggle, who would understand that struggle. Tonight's topic is Shedeur's draft drama, Trump's rampage, and the deportation debate, folks. Let's get into it while we're still relatively young. Let's see if we can do this. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I gotta throw this on you though. It's been a conversation on the internets. I would call it social media trivia game, where everyone's asking this question: can 100 men beat up a gorilla? Yeah, that's the question everybody's been asking, man. I don't know what's up with this. I think it started. There's this podcast. This is white dude, a couple white guys on TikTok. I think they originated the question in one of their I just want to remind everybody, when you ask this question about the gorillas, I want to remind you just what the hell you are talking about. Because these, if you are mistaken and need a refresher course, these, my friend, are gorillas. Okay, this is how they get in. And the people saying no are white women. I just want to clear that up. We'll make that clear, dude. They think that they could be, the silverbacks or whatever kind of gorillas these are. Who's that silverback? I don't know what kind of gorillas are. Are they silverback? They cannot hear you through the glass, and if they could, run immediately. If we could hear through that glass, he'd be through that glass. Okay, look, guys, let's do this. Let me give you Tim Black's 5 reasons why 100 men cannot defeat a gorilla. An adult male gorilla has 4 to 9 times the strength of an average human. So unless 4 to 9 average humans jumped on a gorilla at one time with no fear of being destroyed and having their arms ripped off their bodies, you probably could not simultaneously attack the gorilla. Which leads me to number 2. Gorillas have thick skin and dense muscle that provide natural protection, making them difficult to injure with your bare hands. Yeah, if it's 100 men without weapons. Because you got weapons, well, it's a whole different thing. So the whole premise is based on using bare hands. Punching a gorilla's skin is not like punching a person. The skin is tougher than, I ain't going to say, steel, but I will say it's double insulated leather. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not, so you ain't going to just bust up the gorilla's skin and just break his skin and he had to go get stitches. Number 3, a gorilla's bite force is approximately 1,300 PSI, strong enough to crush bones instantly. If you are unfortunate enough for the gorilla to wrap his jaws around you, just forget that. Whatever that was, it bit, it's theirs now. It could be your foot, your arm, your head, whatever it is. It no longer belonged to you. That belonged to him. Number 4. Humans lack natural weapons, no claws, weak jaws, blunt teeth, making unarmed combat extremely ineffective, which means a lot of us are going to die in the pursuit of taking down this gorilla. Number 5, gorillas can move surprisingly fast, 20 to 25 miles per hour in very short bursts, and are highly agile, making them difficult to surround. So those are 5 top reasons why defeating a gorilla is probably an insurmountable feat. Like, you ain't gonna just beat no gorilla's ass. You ain't just, I don't care if you got 100 men. The only chance we would have, okay, I'm gonna give you a bonus here. The only chance you have is if it's the numbers. The numbers is what you have going for you if you got 100 men fighting and going out to one gorilla. But then we would have to all attack almost simultaneously. And we would have to already have in mind, okay, you willing to die, right? You gonna die. You gonna die. In fact, how many of y'all, 10 of y'all, all 10 of y'all dead. Y'all die. Okay, so we gonna take care of your family. Don't worry. Your wife, it's gonna be okay. She'll be able to come over to the house on Thursdays. Hell, we're gonna need at least 10 more of y'all to say y'all willing to die. How about lose an arm? Who's down to lose an arm for the cause? So that's how brave you gotta be in this situation. And only then do you have half a chance. Okay. All right, guys. Now let's get into some content. Hope that answers that question.
On deck with Tim Black.
Our audience, 3 U.S. citizen children have been deported with their mothers. Now, this is according to the Washington Post. The family's lawyer says one of them is a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer, deported without medication or ability to contact doctors. The family's lawyers are also saying their clients were denied communication with family and legal representatives before being deported. And it's raising concerns about the issue of due process, that it's being violated. So let me ask you, is everyone on U.S. soil, citizens and non-citizens, entitled to due process?
Yes, of course. But let me tell you, it looks, in immigration standing, the laws are very specific. If you're in this country unlawfully, you have no right to be here and you must be removed. That's what the law says. Somehow over the last 20 years, we've completely lost this notion that somehow or completely adopted this idea that, yes, we have immigration laws, but once you come into our country illegally, it triggers all kinds of rights that can keep you here indefinitely. That's why we were being flooded at the border. And we've ended that, and that's why you don't you see a historically low number of people not just trying to cross our border, trying to cross the border into Panama, all the way down in the Darien Gap. I mean, it's been a huge help for those countries as well. On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading. Yeah. That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department, is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process? Just to be very clear there.
Well, no. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have 2 choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported. So the parents make that choice. I imagine those 3 U.S. citizen children have fathers here in the United States. Yeah. They can stay with their father. That's up to their family to decide where the children go. Children go with their parents. Parents decide where their children go. Right. The U.S. deported their mothers who were illegally in America.
Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, Johnson, this is such a horrible, it's just bad what they've been doing with this whole topic, man. And it's very frustrating to have to report on this time and time again. And some people get tired of it, and I understand. But know this, a brother gonna speak the truth. Now look, first of all, I never used to like Marco Rubio. Never did, man. My mind was like, Republican bad, evil Republican, right? Robot Rubio. That's what I called him. They called Robot Rubio. But now that I realize just how horrible the Democrats are, now that I fully have embraced that, he's better than Cory Booker. You know what I'm saying? He's better than Cory Booker. I understand his arguments better. This is a very rational argument, which is we did not deport the children. We deported their parents. Which leads me to a very important point here. Whenever remember when the Democrats were making all this noise back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, all this time Trump was in office. They all shut up. They all shut up when Obama was in office, when he was deporting people. But when Trump started deporting people, it was all about children in cages and splitting up families. That was the talking point. Trump splitting up families. It was never about them splitting up families. It was always about deporting them. That's what the problem was. That's what they didn't like. They didn't like the fact that we were actually following our laws and deporting people that were illegally in the country, who were undocumented, or who were at an order of being removed. That was the problem, because if you keep the family together, you're sending the children back. But if you let the children stay, then you're splitting up the family. You know what I'm saying? And here, they want it both ways. They don't want you to split up the family, which is let the children stay and remove the parents who are undocumented. They're still complaining. Now they're saying, even when you keep them together and you deport them both, now they're saying, well, now you're kicking out American citizens who are children who were born here. So they want it both ways. They want you not to split up the family, which is don't remove the mother, let the mother stay with the child in America, even though she's undocumented, even though she's not here legally. And then if you do remove the child and keep them together and say, okay, you got to go with your mother because your mother decides if you stay here or not. The mother is a decider. If that child is an American citizen, then the mother decides, okay, I'm getting deported, I'm taking my child with me. And of course, they don't say anything negative about the mom who made that decision. They're putting that on the administration for that decision being made. And if it was any other way, like Rubio said, they say, well, now they're kidnapping kids and taking kids from the mother. So it's an unwinnable situation. You know what would be great? What would be great? It would be great is if America treated regular American citizens with such kind gloves. Yeah, with such kind gloves. It's just like these arguments that we've been making here on the Tim Black Show for a good 10 years about how black families, for instance, are torn apart by the system. Torn apart. There is no consideration. You hear Welker, you hear saying, oh, well, the child had cancer. Yeah, well, Kamala Harris, I'm sorry, Kamala Harris, when she was, I think she was the lead district attorney, or was she attorney general? Anyway, there was a black mother and the child had a medical condition. I think it was tuberculosis, required a lot of time away from school. Not only did Kamala not give a shit, but she locked the mom up because the child had to stay home with a medical condition. So, but you see how it's different here? It didn't matter because that was an American citizen. No one cried a river. No one said, what about the extenuating circumstances that this poor child is sick? But you got this woman here, you got Welker, I think her name is Welker. You have corporate talking head here, making the point that this child is sick. So what are you doing? Why would you do that when you have a sick child? See, when we made that argument about Kamala, people said we hated black women and we were just misogynistic. We hated women. That's why we cared that she did that. But when they get upset because they say Trump is doing that, they're righteous. They're doing the good fight. This is good trouble. See, when they say Trump is separating families and not caring about the sickness or the illness of a child, they demonize Trump for it. No one has a problem. No one on the left gives a shit. And this is why politics is so horrible, because both sides will continually demonize each other. And I expect that out of politics, but when the media does it, if she had the opportunity to talk to Kamala Harris, would she have poised that question to Kamala and said, why did you separate that mother from her child? You locked that mother up. That child was sick. Why did you do that when you were attorney general? And why the hell would black people ever support you? And why do you have D.L. Hughley, Ricky Smiley, and Steve Harvey, and Jamal Bryant, and all these other black mouthpieces running out here badgering black people on all across social media for not supporting you when you separated children from their parents in California to feed your prison system for profit, to fight your fires for profit? They won't ask that question. They didn't ask that question. They won't pose these things. So it's not just a hypocrisy of the Democrats and Republican Party. It's the hypocrisy of what's supposed to be our media, which is horrible. Back to this. It would be a beautiful thing if these Democrats wanted for American citizens what they want for the undocumented, non-American citizens. And until they do, kick rocks. That's right, kick all the rocks you can kick. Go find some rocks to kick. I'll give you some rocks to kick, but you can kick rocks. When you break laws in America, no one has a problem with throwing us under the bus, throwing us in jail. America's really good at locking up American citizens. We do it all day, every day, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of people. More than half the people in jail away from their kids also didn't commit any crimes. Like, they legally have not committed any crimes. Forget that undocumented stuff. Crossing the border is illegal. It's just a misdemeanor. But if you do it more than once, then it's a felony and you can go to jail for it. But over half of the people that are incarcerated in America that are away from their families, and I'm assuming a lot of those people who are incarcerated have children somewhere. They haven't even gone to trial yet. And if they are, most of them will be offered plea bargains. And if that plea bargain consists of time, then they will be separated from their families. And AOC and Bernie and Chuck Schumer and Cory Booker and Lisa Kudrow George Clooney, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, whatever her name is. None of them will cry a river for it because it's just politics, baby. All right, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. This is the Tim Black Show. We try to get to 400 likes on a Sunday. It's a task, but help us do it by hitting the like button. Let people know that you're watching this show. It helps us in the algorithm. Let's go on to the next topic. Why don't we? Because you know me, I could stay there all day.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Let's talk about Abrego Garcia's tattoo, since all of a sudden white suburban liberals who were silver spoon their entire life know everything about gang culture. Now, as an ex-gang member myself who did 15 years in the California prison system, I think I'm pretty qualified to speak on Mr. Abrego Garcia's tattoos. And
no, you're not. You're not qualified, sir, because you are not a Democrat. No. They want to. They be upset right now. Objection. Somebody gets to speak truth to power. They don't want that. They don't want you speaking knowing anything. They intentionally go get people that know nothing about the people, nothing at all about anything, who will just repeat the talking points that fit the narrative they want to proclaim. See, I already saw this clip. This brother knows that Abrego Garcia has the certain tattoos in a certain order, which indicates to everybody in those organizations what his affiliation is. But they'll keep telling you, he's a Maryland family man. Maryland family man. So let this brother break it on down, Johnson.
what they mean. At one time, not too long ago in the state of California, when you are an affiliated gang member and you are validated through a point system, you get an indeterminate shoe. An indeterminate shoe means that every time that you go into the prison system, you will do the entirety of your time in solitary confinement. You will be locked down for 23 and a half hours a day. No programming. In order to not get that validation point, us gang members would strategically put our ink on so that when we get on the inside, they would not be able to tell where we're from. Of course, this only works for a while because eventually the ISU, which is the police inside of the prison system, they eventually will figure it out. Example, gang members from San Diego will have a 1904 tattooed on them. 19 being the 19th letter of the alphabet, which is S. 04 being the fourth letter of the alphabet, which is D. Same with Orange County would be 1503. OC. Everybody from Orange County has a star right here on the back of their elbow, which symbolizes the top of a star from an orange, which tells you that they're from Orange County. MS gang members or Southsiders are from Southern California originally, which at one point, so was I. So I've walked the line with hundreds of them. I've had cellies that were from MS. Also, MS has a lot of sleeper cells throughout the United States that sit there in disguise, waiting to be activated, waiting to be called on. And those ones will disguise their tattoos as hard as they can so they're not recognized. Let's say like Abrego Garcia, maybe. Eventually, law enforcement is able to detect these tattoos and decipher them, but sometimes it takes quite a long time. But the way that Abrego Garcia's tattoos are on his hand in a certain sequence, and that sequence adds up to MS-13. So to all you liberals out there that are wolfing that you know anything about gang culture and how it works, you need to just sit back and shut your mouth because you haven't lived it, you don't know it, you don't understand it. Good talk. Bye.
And I appreciate this guy, man, for breaking it down, for keeping it simple and plain. Yeah. Which should, it should hold up as a valid point of view. The information that he provided gives a lot more detail than the average person could, who has no call of reference at all, who is just repeating whatever they heard someone say on MSNBC. But unfortunately, pulling things out of one's butt and just saying it because it's the things that the Democrats, they heard other Democrats say it, it's kind of the rule of the day, and that's kind of how they operate, not only in corporate media space, but also in other sellout media spaces. Man, whatever. If you are not documented. If you have not gone through the process, the legal process, I never felt that there was any reason for them to have to apologize for deporting him. The only concern is if they made a agreement with El Salvadoran President Bukele that he will be incarcerated, that's the only thing I have a question about. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. But still, that will be up to the El Salvadorian president. That's not really an American thing to get involved in. If there is a no toleration policy, zero tolerance policy in El Salvador for how they treat gang members or those formerly affiliated with gangs, then this conversation is mute, because that's up to that president how they want to handle that situation. It's up to that country how they deal with that. El Salvador was overrun totally with gang violence. They made changes in their government and their laws and their system to try to give people a better shot at life in that country. We got liberals here dictating what that president should be able to do in that country as regards to people that aren't even American citizens, who are then deported to that country. And I know, yeah, of course, now we got judges that say we shouldn't have deported him back to his home country, which to me is crazy. Now, if it wasn't his home country, if you could prove that to me, because I heard people say it wasn't his home country, then you got an issue. But last time I checked, man, if you in America and you ain't from America, we deport you. Who says you get to choose when you go when you get booted out of here? I mean, people can self-deport at any time when they know they're somewhere illegal. You know, so like a person with a warrant can turn themselves at any time, turn themselves in, and have way more control over how things go. But when people got to come get you, isn't it a little bit different? But see, once again, I'm using the logic that pertains to American citizens. For some strange reason, if you poor in America, nobody gives you any consideration. There is like nothing, no consideration at all. We have American citizens who have been sitting in incarceration for 10, 20, 30 years. 30 years. They get less than any of the focus that this guy's got for being in an El Salvador prison for 2 weeks. And for the record, crybaby, progressive, or liberal, whatever you are, we have prisons in America where people die on a daily basis. I keep hearing about all this horrific talk about the El Salvador gulag. Well, I don't care what J.D. Vance says. There were prisons in Ohio that I was reporting on back in 2020, in 2019, in 2020, in 2021. There were deaths every month. There was deaths in those prisons. So we have a lot of deaths, and that's just one state. Now, we start looking at all the states across the country, with all the incarceration that we have in America, I'm sure the numbers of deaths, the deaths and the beatings and all the other things that happen in American prisons, I'm sure that our numbers would rival El Salvador if you looked at it, if you laid them down. Because we incarcerate way more people. We probably incarcerate more people than there are in El Salvador. I don't know. I'm guessing. We are the best. We are the best in the Western world at locking up American citizens. And once again, I just look at the hypocrisy of the so-called bleeding hearts who don't have the same bleeding hearts for American citizens, because they are manipulated and wound up once again by the Democratic Party. By the Democratic Party. More people would care about what I'm talking about, maybe if they knew about it, but they don't know about it because it's not talked about in corporate media until they can make a buck off of it. And that's part of the frustration. And that, my friends, is another reason why I'm a Democratic Party hater, baby. Because they made me that way. Yep, because they put themselves out as they're the party that's supposed to be fighting for those people. And instead, they're fighting for other people. Not our people. All right, y'all. Let's keep the party going, man. We got more content. Once again, this is the Tim Black Show. We do this every other day. Well, 5 days a week. Mondays, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, and Sundays. Next
on deck with Tim Black.
I think there's a long way from, having the dream of building unimaginable wealth to also having, a lot of people just want the aspiration.
According to Kevin, I'm besmirching the American dream.
The aspiration to not have to struggle every day. I mean,
exactly.
and to have a job or have a career or have a business that allows them to live a life where they're not living paycheck to paycheck, living under constant anxiety. And so I agree with Kevin. The American dream is believing that you live in a country where if you achieve the status that you want to achieve so that you're not struggling or that you are filthy rich, that some politician is not going to come along and try to take it away from you and tell you you're the enemy. That's her program. If you made it, if you worked hard and you have talent, she says you're corrupt and you're the enemy. And that's why I think Kevin's right. It's not going to fly.
Next on deck.
Yeah, man, I hear this. And I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn about this, man. I understand when people are having a conversation about capitalism and how it operates and how they see it as a great equalizer because they believe if you get a certain amount of money in America that you're gonna, things even themselves out, that the money will set you free. You know what I'm saying? And most Americans buy into that concept, at least until we understand how things really work. And then we start understanding how things tend not to go that way for the vast majority of Americans. Though, yeah, the carrot on the stick is a good thing, to get people to pursue that. But hell, man, we can't even get insurance coverage. We can't even get our homes appraised correctly. We can't even build. So a Scott Jennings who is right more times than he's wrong, in my opinion, he's right more than he's wrong. He will not be someone who will speak clearly about the legacy of what's been happening in America as it pertains to Black Americans when it comes to building that wealth. Yeah, you'll make the argument how wealth is a great equalizer and everybody needs a shot at the wealth. And there's a lot of hypocrisy in AOC. I didn't know AOC was charging $40-something for a t-shirt. I forgot what to play the clip of Kevin O'Leary ripping her a new one about having 85% margin on her t-shirts, the ones that say "Eat the Rich." Meanwhile, she's charging like double for her t-shirts and I charge for mine, for instance. And she's the socialist. I make like $5. She makes like $20 off her t-shirts. So it's like, he said 85%. I don't know what she makes off the t-shirts, frankly, but because he said 80% margin. That's like crazy. So I don't know. But just crazy that we got people that complain about the rich and then they're quickly becoming the rich. And that's just our system. But yeah, I understand the arguments, I get it. I say the arguments and I understand the pie in the sky approach, and it really gets a lot of people fooled into believing that that's going to make everything okay. But the problem is so many Americans will not reach that. And they got to suffer in this other system. So what about all the impediments to us building that wealth? What about when the government puts roadblocks in the way of certain groups of people just based on the color of skin that came out of their mother's womb? What about that? And then Scott got nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? He gonna start getting quiet then he gonna start doing the word salad. Then Scott Jennings starts sounding like AOC with word salad. And they all tend to do that when we start getting to brass tacks. You know what I'm saying? But up until that point, man, he's pretty cool. He's good at knocking down a lot of stuff that liberals say with just like basic common sense. But then there's only so far he's going to go. It's only so far he's going to go. But still a good segment, though. Because all the tax breaks, one thing Trump has done, and I'll give him credit on this and then we'll move on. One thing Trump did is he exposed the Democratic Party for what they are. And that's part of the problem. That's part of why he's so dangerous and has been such an opponent to the Democrats is that he exposed them. And at the same time, he exposed Republicans too. Yeah, I never forget when Trump got up there for the live TV, something that no one ever said. Hillary was talking about all the tax breaks Trump wants to give the rich. And he said, well, hey, why don't you close the loopholes? You don't want to close the loopholes. You ain't going to close the loopholes because you take advantage of the same tax breaks I do. And so do all your rich friends. Said no one ever talked that way. Closest person to it was Ross Perot. You know what I'm saying? No one had ever talked that way. Obama didn't talk like that. He went after Hillary as an individual. He did not go after the system. Trump went after the systems. He went after the sacred cows in the Republican Party and in the Democratic Party. And that's why they really hate him, guys. Forget all the other stuff you hear them talking about. That's the real problem. He was a threat to the system. And that's why they call him Hitler. Not because he's really done Hitler stuff. All right, guys, give me a like on this podcast. This segment, tonight's show, give it up for us, guys. Don't forget, go to timblackmug.com. Pick yourself up a mug, $20 to your door, Johnson. You ain't beating that. The margins are slim. All right, Johnson. Let's keep going. We got more content here. Where we at?
With Tim Black.
Brought you out here today to the Bernie Sanders rally.
I don't like what's going on in our country right now. I'm just kind of disgusted by it.
What's the biggest risk?
Oh, gosh. What would you say, Dan? Well, I'll let you speak to that.
I don't know. I don't really care for the language that's being spoken right now in the country.
Can you give any examples of specific language?
Nah, because I only repeat what I heard on MSNBC and CNN. I really don't have anything to complain about it. My life's pretty good. I just heard Trump is evil. Therefore, I'm out here to support getting rid of him.
Think about that.
So many things, I don't even know where to start. I would say, oh gosh, Dan, help. This is... Yeah.
What's changed over the last couple months post-Biden administration for you guys?
Oh gosh. Once again, where do we start?
Yeah, the media started talking about all types of stuff that were going wrong in the country that was already going wrong in the country before Trump got elected. That's what changed. You with all this talk about the economy, folks, here goes a tidbit of information you won't hear reported everywhere. Why is the economy still better than it was when Trump took office? Yeah. It's with all the complaining, all the hand-wringing, all the, people's pearls popping all over the place, taking out the eye of a squirrel, minding its business, just walking by, getting hit with one of the pearls. The economy is still in better shape than it was under Biden. You wouldn't know that if you watch MSNBC, CBS, ABC, CNN. You wouldn't know it. Maybe CNN will eventually get around to somebody who ain't a total complete hack. Now they got rid of Don Lemon and Acosta. But I'm just being real, man. Joy Reid would never say that. Rachel Maddow will never tell you that. Chris Hayes won't tell you that. That stone face, what's his name? What's his name? Rutger Hauer? Oh, his name. What's his name? Leslie something, not Leslie. What's this guy's name? That fossil that's on MSNBC. Forget it. I'll come up with it later. Not Keith Olbermann, the other jackass. This Trump is horrible. And the point is, they never tell you the truth. They'll never admit that for all the hand-wringing, all the prostrating, all the doom and gloom that they've been doing, Johnson, economically, the country's still in a better position than it was under Biden. Now, some of the gains that Trump, some of the gains that he achieved in this short period of 3 months as being president in his second term, he's lost some of the gains. But it's still higher. It's still the markets were still in a better position than they were under Biden. Okay, so it is what it is. That's why people don't have anything to say, because they didn't lose anything. They've lost nothing. Nothing. What'd you lose? Oh no, he's going to shut down the Department of Education. What'd you lose? They just hear boogeyman stories about what that's going to mean, but we don't know what it's going to mean. When I talk to teachers like Dr. Musa Abdullah, who came on the show, He said amongst the teachers that he's worked with for the last 25 years, they feel like the only purpose of the Department of Education Service to cut into the money. Take a cut of the money off the top before they send it to the states. That's the only real difference they see. But we got liberals running around and people that call themselves liberal reporters or whatever, and just acting like the world is on fire all of a sudden. That we just hit a comet. And big asteroids hit it for the country, and it's orange. They're just not keeping it a buck, and they got grandma scared saying her Social Security's gonna be cut. And still she gets her check, and it's the same as it was. But they keep saying it. They keep saying it. They keep saying Medicaid is gonna be cut, and people still get their coverage. But they get to keep saying it over and over again. This couple here is indicative of what we see online, but these people don't really have anything to say.
Okay, you go for this one.
Just a whole list of things I can't think of right now.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
People want to walk around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want.
Okay, guys. Before we get into this clip, this is going to be interesting. This is Stephen A. Smith talking about, I don't even know exactly what he's talking about. We're going to have a conversation. All right. Who's in the comment section? Before we go to Stephen A., it's really like a dividing line, I feel. This is a dividing line in the content. Because now we're going to get to a little cultural stuff. Then we'll come back to politics a little bit later. What's up, D. Harris, man? How you feeling, fam? What's going on, Mr. Melody? Who that? Tay Diggs up in the building. What's up, Tay? Tim Black TV up in the house, fam. Thank you. Thank you, fam. Thank you for being here. Black Rose, how you doing? Democrats hired all these blackface immigrants to speak for FBA. Yes, they did. Man, that's what I'm talking about, man. I love when my people be on time, man. They know what's up. They know, they feel me. Yo. Yolanda. Yolandia. Yo, I'm a good woman. Politics is okay. I want to stand for one is us, Tim Black TV, #1. That's what I'm talking about, Yolanda. I appreciate you. Give it up for Yolanda, yo. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Share it with a friend. Let them know about the show. Share it as Karen, Yolanda. Just tell your friends about the show. I appreciate you. I'm sure you already do, though. You know, my real folks, my real supporters, they've told family and friends. So I appreciate y'all. All y'all who go out your way, let people know what we're doing here. Because I think most people just misinformed, frankly. They just don't know. Like some of the things I'm saying, I realize that people knew if they really knew how our prison system is, they don't really know how dangerous, like people laugh. Like our coach is so backwards, y'all. They talking about immigrants going to El Salvadorian prisons when do you realize what happens to some people here in American prisons? I did a story a few years ago where a man got cooked but they cooked him. They put him in the shower and literally cooked him to death in America. And I got people going, oh my God, what's going to happen to this non-American citizen who we deported to El Salvadorian prison? I'm surprised he's alive. Van Holen, one of my senators in Maryland, went down there to see the guy. If he cared about prisoners, he could have went right over to Lorton, Virginia. Hell, he could have went to Upper Marlboro. He could have went to one of our juvenile detention centers in Maryland where they got gladiator camps for kids, and we got kids fighting each other to damn near to the death over a Snickers bar while the COs bet on the fights. But nah, he'll get on a plane to go to El Salvador. A concern about a non-U.S. citizen with MS-13 tats. And how's he doing? And take him out for tea and brunch. And then when I say something about it, I got jackasses who will say, Tim Black don't like Latinos. Man, I grew up with Latinos. Hyattsville. Man, I went to Northwestern High School. Northwestern High School has heavy Latino population. You shut up. You don't know anything. My family lived in Riverdale, Maryland. Very Latino area. You don't know what you're talking about. And where I come from, poor people live around poor people. I lived a little bit of everywhere. Latinos, Asians, Koreans, a lot of black, some poor whites. I lived around everybody. You the one is sheltered progressive who ain't lived around poor people or working class people or lower than working class people trying to make it. Like my man would say, shout out to Reset Race. Was it John B? The struggling class, the working class? Well, we from the hurting class. Yeah, the hurting class. I know what I'm talking about. Stand up. I ain't mean to get on that. See, I go. There I go. There I go, there I go, there I go, there I go. That's a little bit of Chuck Brown right there. There I go, there I go, there I go. All right, guys, check this out. Stephen A. Smith was talking about running for president, man, and now he's talking about running from criticism. Yeah, I don't even know exactly why Stephen A. put this segment out. I think it's to defend people that are coming for his neck because they don't feel like he stood up for Shannon Sharp enough. And maybe Stephen A. will make a good politician because he damn sure was word salad and talking in circles and trying to defend every side of the issue. Like, it's too much work, man. I can't do it. I could never do it. Let's check out Stephen A. Smith explaining his position as it pertains to the Shannon Sharp situation.
Don't have to answer to anybody. That's not. People want to walk around thinking you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You could your own operation. You don't have to answer to anybody. That's not true. I've had people open their mouth and they've said, Stephen A., you work for ESPN. What kind of control do you really have? This is my podcast. This is my YouTube show. I own this. But if you think for 1 second that I could just do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and there's not going to be any repercussions, you're clueless. And you're destined to fail and fall on your face. I'm not talking about Shannon Sharp. I'm not talking about Shannon Sharp. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm talking about a climate that we're living in. Some people sit up there and they look at me and they say, Stephen A. don't get himself in this kind of trouble. How does he pull it off? Well, first of all, there's certain behaviors and proclivities that you never have to worry about me engaging in. But most importantly than that, I often say this about Walt Disney. I'd rather work for a place with standards than one looking for them. You know why? Because lines are drawn. And I never have to worry about crossing them because guess what? I've got something there reminding me, hold on. You don't need to do that. It's not a silo. I'm not by myself. I don't get to operate in any way that I want without having to worry about ramifications or repercussions. I always have to be concerned about that. So I'm challenged every day to come on the airwaves and think about the ramifications and repercussions of anything that I do. Constantly.
Yo, man, what is he talking about? Is he saying, help me if I'm wrong, guys? Like, I'm trying to figure this out. So are you open to the fact that maybe Stephen A. is full of it? Just a little bit? Just... Dog, you should not have to be held to a standard where you're going to lose your job if you do X, Y, Z. Is that really what we're saying? Like you gotta have certain rules in place to know that Shannon made dumb choices? I mean, people knew he was making dumb choices before he got jacked up. Like Monique was telling them and Kat was telling them. He was getting on Danielle Rollins, and he's doing worse than Danielle Rollins. He got on Danielle Rollins because Danielle Rollins has a child. At the time, she was 20 years younger than Danielle. She wasn't as young as this OnlyFans model that Shannon's with. So I saw at least three notable interviews where Shannon was told better. He just didn't give a shit. It's not about the rules, it's about the person. You know? Because everybody has free will. Shannon exercises free will. But back to Stephen A. Stephen A. sound like he's saying, if it wasn't for these rules are what keep him in check. And I don't think it requires rules that are from the external. What about internal rules? What about the internal rules? Isn't that really the true governor of a human being? It's self-imposed criteria that we want to live up to without being sanctimonious, man. I ain't trying to say no one's ever made mistakes, no one's ever done anything wrong or out of character. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is at the end of the day, we make decisions. That's all. What are we talking about, Stephen A? Be plain, man.
And because of that, that's an additional guardrail to secure me from putting myself in a position that could jeopardize myself, my show, my brand, my family.
Next on deck.
Yeah, man. Stephen A up here. Stephen A, I don't know why he wants to. And look, man, I did a segment earlier about King Petty. We're talking about Skip Bayless. Him and his wife, Ernestine, launched a podcast, their own channel, with their show on the same day that Shannon Sharpe was dropped from ESPN. And I guess Skip was like, hey, it's a good time. I got the news cycle. Let's get the word out about the show. So I called him King Petty for that. This is also kind of petty because Stephen A is talking around the circle so much, and then he wants to attribute it like the rules are what keep him straight. What for these rules, you know, I don't know. It just seems like it's unnecessary conversation, you know. I get it. People are asking questions because he's the one. Maybe he's in a situation because he vouched for Stephen. You know, he vouched for Shannon Sharpe, got Shannon Sharpe the job after Shannon left, you know, with Skip. But I don't know. Yeah, I just don't believe I don't believe it was necessary for Stephen A to go there with this conversation. You know, let me know what you think in the comment section. We got another clip with Stephen A later, but it's on a different topic. What else we got on this show tonight here? On this particular, I got two parts. Let's see what the next clip
Tim
is.
Black.
She said, I know I'm going to jail, but can I braid my daughter's hair one last time? I pulled her over for speeding through a stop sign where kids were actively riding their bike through the neighborhood. Routine stop. But when I ran her name, it hit hard. She had an active felony warrant, obstruction of justice, and fleeing a scene. She'd been avoiding court and skipping supervision checks for almost a year. When I walked to her window, she didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, I know I'm going to jail. I won't fight that. Then she turned towards the back seat. Her little girl was in a booster seat, holding a hairbrush. She looked at me again and said, can I braid her hair one last time before we go? And I stood there while she gently braided every strand, telling her daughter, be good for auntie. Mommy loves you. I'll be back soon. Her hands were shaking, but her voice never cracked. She stayed calm, focused, like she was trying to leave a piece of herself with her child. Before I cuffed her, she looked up at me and said, thank you. Not for the break, but for the dignity. Sometimes the job isn't just about what you take. It's about what you let them keep. If that hit you, follow me for more real stories from the badge.
That was a solid story, my brother. How can I say this? It's not enough. It's not enough, man. It's not enough to say, oh, you're the good guy because you let her braid her daughter's hair. I get it that some people may not have done it. I get that. But brother, what kind of person would not do that. You know? It does bring up parallels between this and what I hear these Democrats complaining about as it pertains to undocumented people all day. We have a mother being separated from her child for missing court dates for a traffic stop, and she had a warrant, felony warrant, it says. I don't know how serious the felony warrant is. It could be anything. It could be driving without a license and then miss your court date. That's a felony warrant. Doesn't have to be bank robbery, major drug trafficker. You know, could just be something that simple. I don't know. I mean, I've spoken so many times about this, even in this show, talking about the difference between how we want to treat other people, but how we treat American citizens, and no one cries, no one sings songs. I appreciate this officer sharing this story. It reminds us, that's why I put it in. It reminds us of what's happening with American citizens every day. Most people would say, what you did was a good thing. What I would do was challenge you to do more. Challenge you to do more, and also admit that was a charitable thing. That was a decent thing to do. I'm sure you see a lot of your job where you know that system is very much, very much working against the people in so many ways. And how do we improve the system? Anyway, I got a series of videos I did with police officers who wanted to overhaul the system. A lot of people demonize the idea of recreating our system. That's because they see anybody who breaks the law as just being horrible individuals. They don't look at the system itself, the economics, the environments. They just look at one area. And if all you see are people who broke the law, and you don't see where they come from, you don't see the schools, you don't see the jobs, you don't see the neighborhood, you don't see anything else. You just look at one area and you blame the people for it. You're not looking at anything else. So we have good conversations on this channel. I've tried to use my platform to educate people about it's not just one area that creates this. We need to do much more than let our black women braid their daughters' hair before we lock them up and separate them from their families. That's what we need to do a lot. We need to do a lot more than give them 5 minutes of grace. I will not take away the fact you gave it a grace, but damn, if that's all we got, and if you want to follow for more of that, makes me question, like, what am I going to follow you to get? Like, all right. Maybe it's just me, man, but I got higher expectations for the future. They're going to be quiet more than us giving somebody 5 minutes to kiss their child goodbye before we throw them in the system. And I know what's a cop going to do about the system? I don't know. And there lies the rub. All right, guys, let's keep going, man. Wow. Touching story, man. I got to admit, it hit me, though. Yeah.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
Impartiality, integrity, and a deep knowledge of the presidency. The award also includes a prize of $2,500. This year's award goes to Alex Thompson of Axios. The judges said Thompson's aggressive reporting on President Biden, especially leading up to and after the Trump-Biden debate, revealed the president's cognitive decline was impacting his ability to do his job, information the White House tried to conceal. Ladies and gentlemen, the White House Correspondents Association is pleased to give the Aldo Beckman Award to Alex Thompson.
Next.
Yeah, guys. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I'm reminded here that these people like to make a big deal about a very small thing. You know what? Instead of giving this guy $2,500, which ain't enough, which is less than you guys probably spent on your dry cleaning, let's keep it a buck. And I'm talking about those Washington insiders and people that actually have an invite to that shing-ding there of the White House Correspondents thing. Yeah, $2,500 ain't nothing. That's almost an insult. But I will say this. What award do you give to all the corporate media who would not report on it? Yeah, well, what award would you give to them? Because they managed for 4 years to act as if nothing was wrong. They managed for 4 years to not believe their lying eyes. They said Russia is spreading misinformation. Yeah, but we must be someone's influencing us. Maybe it's China making us think something wrong with Biden. Yeah, and oh Lord, don't let black people get out of line and say something wrong with Biden. Oh God. Believe us. Black identity radicals. What was it the FBI was calling us? Black identity extremists. That's the term. Yeah, man. All I'm saying is at some point, man, as much as they complain about the media is being treated dishonorably and that all of a sudden freedom of press is going away because of Trump. I mean, what was our, like, look, I don't want our freedom of speech to be gone either. I want our freedom of speech to stay intact. I agree with that. So I do support maintaining freedom of speech. But is that a false equivalency? Like, is that gaslighting? Is that really what's happening? And I'm looking at corporate media and I'm saying, is corporate media really in the business of telling us the truth to begin with? I mean, how else could you pull that off for 4 years? I mean, mind you guys, there were people talking about Biden's cognitive decline before he took office. It was a talking point amongst more progressive, but truth-telling progressives back in 2019. I posted clips. I mean, people were saying it right up there. I mean, what's the brother? Cory Booker brought it up. It wasn't even just us. I mean, it was said from the debate stage. What's it? Juan, Julian, the brothers, the two twins, the Latino brothers. They were talking about it. I mean, it was out there, Johnson. It's like it wasn't hidden. It was a known issue that people were talking about, and that still did not stop most of corporate media. 99% of corporate media are looking the other way, just keeping their access to the president. So, yeah, it is what it is. They get themselves awards for whatever they want, whatever circle jerk. Even this guy, Alex Thompson from Axios, he did not go as far as he should have went. Them two little articles, nothing. If that's what you're giving out awards for telling the truth about Biden, hi, my name is Tim Black. Is this thing on? I've been telling the truth about Biden since 2016. All right, guys. Let's keep it moving. I want to thank people for coming through. Hit the like button if you like the content. We got more to go. Let's see what we got here.
National Football League.
Okay, I want to talk about this story, man, because I'm hearing different rules of thought here. We're talking about Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders. And him being drafted, I think it was the 5th round. We got to talk about it, man. Because my point of view is going to be a little bit different. Once again, here goes Stephen A. Let's talk about the draft that everyone's talking about.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on them? Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on them. How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that. Primetime Deion Sanders' natural bravado, coupled with that of his son. They say that the whole interview process wasn't that impressive when he showed up at the NFL scouting combine and refused to work out. That hurt him. The interview process while he was there hurt him, et cetera, et cetera. You know what, y'all? I get it. It makes perfect damn sense if he's drafted in the 2nd round. It's the fact that he fell to 5th that's alarming. So in other words, you're willing to collectively send that kind of message, and don't act like it wasn't a collective effort. For all we know, teams collectively, meaning owners, had come to the conclusion nobody's going to touch them in the first 4 rounds. All right, now that the round 5 is here, our message has been sent, so y'all could go about the business of sort of lifting the embargo, for lack of a better phraseology. I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is this: it's freaking unfair. It ain't right. A complete and utter lack of appreciation for what primetime Deion Sanders has done for the game of football. Primetime Deion Sanders had more swag, more bravado than anybody you could ever imagine. What else he do? All the brother did was go out there and perform at a very, very elite level, bring pizzazz and sizzle to your product, helping it grow into this multi-billion-dollar brand. Has a great relationship with the commissioner, has a great relationship with a bevy of players and coaches in the National Football League, knows the sport backwards and forwards. And because of his swag and his bravado or whatever, y'all gonna turn against him. How about y'all should have drafted Shedeur Sanders earlier because of that alone? Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion, was targeted because primetime Deion Sanders was targeted. What happened to Shedeur Sanders, in part, not totally, but in part, was a direct assault on Deion Sanders. He did not deserve this. His son didn't deserve it. His play didn't deserve this. His production didn't deserve this. His projected skill set didn't deserve this. His accomplishment didn't deserve this. Oh, God. And his pedigree didn't deserve it.
Oh, God.
Because say what you will about Deion Sanders, he has never taken from the game. He has only given to it.
Next on deck.
Wow. Wow, man. Give it up for that, man. That is a speech. That's why they like Stephen A. Smith, man. They want this guy to be somebody. They want him to be politics. They want him to be president. All right, guys, let's cut through the nonsense here. Since when has America cared about the quality of the individual's performance if they did not like or they felt that the product itself was revolutionary in any way? I mean, you guys have jobs. So much about getting a job as if the person like you or not. We know this. I mean, some of the gaslighting I'm hearing people say, some of the things I'm hearing people point at. It's not like these people just woke up off of what a good comment say, would you fall out of a coconut tree? Yeah, I'm thinking, did you fall out of a coconut tree? Folks, if they think you are not going to play ball the way they want you to play, and I don't mean play ball on the field, I'm not talking about skill set. I'm talking if they have any reason to believe that you're going to come into this place and ruffle feathers, you're going to come in and be off code. You ain't going to come in and act the way, corporate way that they want you to act, to conduct yourself. What they call it, what's the term for it they use in corporate America? A good fit. That's the term. They use it all the time. Is it going to be a good fit? It just wasn't a good fit. The culture of the team. Folks, someone who's worked in corporate America, I'm telling you what happened is nothing new. In fact, the fact he got picked up at all. Because if they've collectively decided that this brother does not have the cultural, he's culturally incorrect, or he does not fit culturally into the environment they want him to fit into, he's going to come in and he wants the environment to conform to him, and they don't like that? Oh, God. Yeah, he's not a black woman. You know, they'll take Jasmine Crockett in. She could come in and do all the neck wringing and all this stuff and pointing and cuss at the president of the United States, you know, like Maxine Waters. They let black women do that. They let black women do that in America. They let it happen in politics. Where's the black man who gets to act like Jasmine Crockett? I'll wait. Where's the black man who gets to act like Maxine Waters? Waiting. You know, we've been black, and I've been black a long time. I have never seen it. What I'm saying is, there are rules to this game. We all know there are rules to the game. Here it is. America's always ready, willing, and able to take the L if it's going to stop you from winning. And this is something my young people need to understand. So yeah, go ahead and make your TikToks and go ahead and blame the system and go ahead and blame white supremacy and blame all these things. Let me just put you up on game of how this shit works. Because meanwhile, you're going to try to raise a family here. You're going to try to live here. I'm not telling you how to act. But in a country where we know we have to code switch, where code switching is a thing, that we even have a title for it. That means conforming to the environment in order to get the job. In America, well, in D.C., we call it playing the game. Some people call it, in white America, they got a term for it too. It's called fake it till you make it. Which implies that once you make it, then you can act like yourself. Always ready. America's always willing to lose. See, it's counterintuitive. You think it don't make sense. Why would they not take the best damn quarterback available? Because him being best is relative. He ain't more important than the operation. He ain't more bigger than the sport. He ain't so great a quarterback that the sport itself will allow him to come in and change things if they don't want him changed. That's it. That's all. They let Hank Aaron into sports, into the white leagues, because they can make money off of him. That was it. They cared about the bottom line. If they wanted to maintain the hierarchical structure that they had previously more than they wanted to make money, he would have never been, we would still have a separate Negro League. And there's something to be said. Maybe that would have been better. I don't know. I heard Satchel Paige was a bad brother. And there's so many other Negro players that I don't know who were bad brothers. My point is this, man. Let's stop acting like we don't understand how America works. We know how it functions. And this could go for anybody, any of us, at any time, in any walk of life, anywhere you perform. You could be the best. You could be on paper the best. You could be great at your job. You could be great at whatever it is that you are applying for. But if they have the feeling, if anybody in charge, I say those the powers that be, have the feeling that you are not a good fit, they'll take the L. They don't need you that bad. The game will still play without you. I had to learn this. You can be good at something, it doesn't matter. They'll take people with less ability. They'll take people with less charisma, less style, less ability. I could go in front of a live audience and do what I'm doing right now. I've done it. I've toured, published books, stand up for a living, public speaker. Don't matter. They'll take somebody who has none of that skill set whatsoever, as long as they'll say and do what the hell they want them to say and do, will not be radical, will not step out of line, which will repeat what they say verbatim if necessary. That's the person. They'll take that over somebody with talent all the time. Why do you think Cat Williams got to put on his own shows? Because he has the propensity to get up on stage and say whatever he wants to say. That's why. Yeah, I know he bankrolls his own show, and he's very proud to bankroll his own tours. He has to. He had no choice. No one individual is bigger than the program, and they just reminded your ass of that. And Stephen A. already knows that. Stephen A. up here getting loud about a system he very much well knows how it operates. Allen Iverson said it back in, the early 2000s. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice. But they didn't like the cornrow hip-hop kid. No matter how many butts he was putting in the seat. Arguably one of the best point guards that's ever played the game. Top 10. Maybe top 5. But they didn't like the package that he came in. And they were willing to sit him because he wasn't conforming. So yeah, it is what it is, man. 32 teams. 32 teams watched this phenomenal player go undrafted for not 1 round, not 2 rounds, not 3 rounds, not 4 rounds, but all the way to the 5th round. Yeah, that's collusion. The word came down from up high. Stephen A., surprise, surprise. Rich, powerful people talk to each other. Sort of like with Kaepernick. Why we act like you don't understand how things work? Stephen, they got to play dumb. And we got people playing dumb right along with them. You could call it white supremacy. You could call it the system. You could call it the company, the program, whatever you want to call it. It's not just that he is black. If you are white and bucking the system, they will sit your ass down too. It's just that most people that buck the system, for whatever reason, whatever they determine bucking the system is, you could be John Brown if you want to, they can get you up out the paint. They got JFK up out the paint. They got RFK up out the paint. They got MLK up out the paint. And I know I'm talking about something totally different. What I'm just trying to tell you is they'll get you out the paint if they want you out. I was surprised he got drafted at all. But drafting him 5th round lets everyone know. What's that saying? And I know it's not something that can be verified. I heard people say that this is just something people say. But it's about them taking, taking the one slave and beating him into an inch of his life in front of all the other slaves just to prove a point. We run this. And that's what they did by hiring him. Now, let's talk about solutions. We got a solution. Everybody can decide. All of y'all can get together. All the players can get together. Since people keep reminding me that the NFL can't be racist, 60% of the NFL is black. Well, you know what? If the 60% of the NFL is black can get together and say, you know what? We don't like this XYZ and we'll all sit out a year. There goes your change. But it only works. It only works if you're committed. And too many of us are committed to getting our own slice of the pie than we are committed to helping the collective. And that's the real problem. That's the real issue. Because all this can't change. But they know if they put a few black faces in high places and put a little bit of money or a lot of money, because a lot of money to us, put a lot of money in some people's pockets, they're willing to play along and the game continues. And until we have people willing not to take the check, the system will continue to run as it's running. And that was a reminder. It was a reminder that you don't come in and you don't set no terms. The term buck broken does come to mind. So those are our options. And we have options, but at this point, a lot of us are so tied to the system, so tied to the way things are, and we're living pretty much comfortable lives. I mean, Black Americans pretty much doing better than Black people in most parts of the globe collectively. Like, I hear these things. I don't know how accurate that is, but there are a lot of people with brown skin from the African diaspora that are not doing as well as Black Americans. I mean, when we look at the racial wealth gap, we see it. We see the disparity between us. At the end of the day, Black Americans, 10% of the average Black family has 10% of the wealth of the average white family. It's even less wealth than the average Latino family that just got here 5 years ago. And for me to bring that up is considered xenophobic. So anyway, look, I'm glad the young man gets to live out his dreams. I'm glad that he gets to play. But they had to remind everyone, including this young man and Deion Sanders, that you don't own the league. Let's set the terms, let's set the tone right here. And if you can't hear that, if you didn't see that, you don't see it now. You didn't see it before, you see it now. And if you still can't see it, I question if you got any vision at all, because this was very plain. Them people run this league. The NFL is very much willing to take an L. I saw another quarterback who threw a horrible ball. I don't know where they were throwing the ball to. And that person got picked in the first round. I don't know what his combine looked like. Oh my goodness, I don't know. But I bet you this person gonna be on time in meetings. He ain't gonna come in there swagging, and his dad ain't gonna be holding press conferences complaining about why his son didn't get a chance to start. I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff that they're gonna throw out there. Because if they only cared about winning, Stephen, you know the choice would have been different. Can I say this before we end it? Can I say one last thing before we end it? And I guess I can, because this is my platform. I heard some people talking about Shedeur Sanders, and they were talking about his attitude problem. Man, successful people, you ever heard, successful people in any industry pretty much get a license to act an ass as long as they can put butts in the seats. In fact, part of what made Mayweather great is acting an ass. People not liking him or rooting against him sold more tickets than if people liked him. So that's not it. Stop listening to these corny sellout conservative commentators. Anybody who talks about Black people, any Black person, any Black commentator, news person, journalist, and I'm talking about Jason Whitlock and some of his other people that want to be Jason Whitlock, whenever they talk about Black people in the third person, with a they or those pronouns, when they themselves are Black, that should tell you everything you need to know. And I know we don't have the ability to cancel those types of Black people who work for conservative outlets that talk about Black people in the third person. I don't know why Black people do this, and they don't get it. It was their attitude. When they talk like that about Shedeur, to the white people that frequent that person or those entities like Whitlock and those like him who have been talking down about Shedeur Sanders and making this a personal diss to him as an individual, know this. That's your boy. Whitlock is your guy. He don't influence Black America. You want to keep giving him money You want to keep him employed? That's on y'all. We can't stop y'all because he's not employed because of us, so we can't fire him. We can't cancel him because we didn't hire him. But know this, he has absolutely no influence on Black Americans. It makes you feel better that you got a Black voice saying what you want him to say, but it's just know this, he ain't influencing Black people to do nothing. So your money is a waste. You might as well throw that money in the toilet. It'd be better use going down the drain and maybe clearing some of the debris from your commode pipes, because he don't influence us at all. Any Black person with any conscious level and whatsoever ain't listening to Jason Whitlock, Candace Owens, Officer Tatum, whatever this Mead guy is, Meathead dude, whatever his name is, Jesse Lee Peterson. These people are sideshows. These are clowns. And you keep on paying them because it makes you feel good to have a Black man parrot your bigoted talking points. Oh my God, we got a football player who's an amazing talent, who's has some diva characteristics. Oh no, like we've never seen talented people have diva characteristics. Just every celebrity. Jesus Christ, and y'all, and this is a talking point that y'all going to run with to smear this young man. He's a gifted athlete. He's a gifted athlete. And in a culture where performance is most important overall, and ticket sales and wins are more important overall, the fact remains. Y'all sat this young man down. Y'all overlooked him 5 rounds or 4 rounds for a reason. And it had nothing to do with his attitude. It had everything to do with yours. All right, guys, let me know what you think of this segment. We're going to keep it moving. I got a couple more things before we're done. We're almost done, though. Yeah. Wow. What else we got left before we wrap it up?
With Tim Black.
This is a time for us to put principles over party. Principles over party. It reminds me, I think that's a powerful moment for us. Reminds me of a letter that Ulysses Grant was said to have sent at the start of the Civil War. Of course, the great general who subsequently became president. And at that moment of great turmoil in the country literally tearing itself apart, Grant wrote that whatever my prior political positions have been, my prior opinions have been up until this point, I have but only one objective now. And Grant then said, we have a government and laws and a flag, and they must all be sustained. Government, laws, and a flag, and they must all be sustained. And then he said something even deeper than that, because at that time in American history, there were multiple parties. We're in a 2-party system right now.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Tim Black's BS detector.
Hey guys, look, the Democrats did another stunt. Yeah, they pulled one of their stunts. This time they were at the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, where they sat there for, last time I checked, it was 10, 11 hours. I don't know. You know, this is just a bookend to Cory Booker with his 25-hour monologue. Just to say, hey, they don't like what Trump's doing. You know what, guys? The Democrats really didn't like what Trump was doing. Maybe they should have ran a better candidate and ran on something that would actually make Americans want to vote for him. And when you talk about we want to go with policy over party, which is an old ass saying we've been saying for years here in independent media, in independent politics, that's old as hell. You just got wind of it, Hakeem Jeffries? Well, if you really cared about policy over party, then you would be talking about your own party, sir. Yeah, the policies of your own party. And if you really cared about policy over party, you would have been talking about that for the last 4 years. Because that's what that term means. It means we go with the policy, not the party. You've been going with the party. You're totally opposite of what you're talking about. Nobody cares about it. Ulysses S. Grant. So, yeah. Democrats are real good at symbolism and pretending that something's going on. It ain't going on. And it's just, at this point, so many of us have woke up, and I hope it continues, man. I hope the tide continues to turn when more and more Americans realize these parties suck. Both parties suck, Johnson. I'm never telling you to go vote Republican. Become an independent voter. Consider, are you open to being an independent thinker? Are you open to the idea that it's two corrupt parties in our system? Two. I know you want to be able to go from one or the other. Nah, they're both corrupt. So that's why we need to be independent. And we need to be able to say, yeah, it's policy over party. And then when it's time, they got to earn your vote. And whoever earns your vote is the one you go with. And once they cease to earn your vote, you bounce. So Democrats up here doing more performances. More performances than off-Broadway show. And luckily, I think most Americans are finally waking up and walking out. Keep the walking going on. That's right. Electric slide up out of there. Do what you got to do. Moonwalk out if you got it. All right, let's see what we got, Johnson. All right, let's keep going.
But there were multiple parties.
With Tim Black.
Trump's strategy really has been to announce these tariffs and dial some back, pause them, make exceptions. Explain why you see this as a good negotiating strategy.
Well, in game theory, it's called strategic uncertainty. So you're not going to tell the person on the other side of the negotiation where you're going to end up. And nobody's better at creating this leverage than President Trump. He's shown the high tariffs, and here's the stick. This is where the tariffs can go. And the carrot is come to us, take off your tariffs, take off your non-tariff trade barriers, stop manipulating your currency, stop subsidizing labor and capital, and then we can talk. But I tell you, Martha, that we've had several of these Asian countries that come in and said, oh, well, we'll stop doing this, this, and this. And I look at these lists, and I think, how did we get here? How did we get here? Because this trading system has been so unfair. And as President Trump says, I don't blame the countries. I blame the previous administrations that let them get away with it.
But Mr. Secretary, look at what you just heard from Barton O'Brien there. The administration says it's worried about Main Street, not Wall Street. But you heard that small businessman saying his inventory in China might as well be lit on fire because already what has happened and the concern about what's happening next. How do they plan for things if they don't know what's going to happen?
Well, what they know is that the China tariffs are unsustainable because the Chinese cannot sustain this. That if the business people, like the gentleman you interviewed, stop ordering, China has no business model. Their business model is predicated on selling cheap, subsidized goods to the U.S. And if there is a sudden stop in that, they will have a sudden stop in the economy, so they will negotiate.
Well, look, some of the leaders of the big box stores, Walmart, Target, delivered a warning to President Trump that some of the shelves could be empty within a matter of weeks. I know you're looking forward, but this is a concern right now.
And that's why we are negotiating these deals, and we're moving forward with this. And again, as the gentleman in Annapolis said, Martha, the goal is not to manufacture dog collars again in the U.S. That the president is looking forward to the jobs of the future, not the jobs of the past. The goal is to bring back high-performance manufacturing jobs or create high-performance manufacturing jobs. Right now,
How long does that take? I mean, that is such a concern. How long does it take to bring that to the U.S.?
Well,
is there a plan?
Of course, but it's a process. Right now, the U.S. has a barbell economy. We have a very advanced financial system. We have a the exploration and development that is the envy in the world. On the other side, we are a natural resource economy led by energy, which the previous administration tried to stifle. And in between is where working class Americans have lost out. And we want to bring back these manufacturing jobs or create these manufacturing jobs of the future. And we are meeting with companies that want to do this every day.
And this is that moment of pain or that transition with pain. But again, how long does that last? Is there anything you can say about that? How fast you can bring these manufacturing jobs?
Well, look, Martha, it's a reallocation because what we are doing, the federal government is shedding labor. We're trying to get the private sector to pick that up. But we have a very low unemployment rate. It's not like we have to create jobs. What we need to create are good paying jobs with fair trade. That is what the president's doing.
Let's talk about China. President.
Next on deck with Tim Black.
You know, when I hear people talk about this issue with the tariffs, it's very negative. There's talk as if tariffs have no place. You know, there were tariffs that Trump initiated in his first term that Biden never took off. Like, we got tariffs in place now. Before Trump started serving, there were tariffs in place under Biden. No one talked about them. You didn't hear anybody say anything about the tariffs that were in place that Biden did not reverse when he took office. I wonder why you didn't hear about them. Maybe people should be curious, like, why wasn't that demonized? Oh, because Biden went along with those tariffs. So corporate media didn't have a reason to talk about it. Now these tariffs are the evil ones. These are the evil ones. These are the ones Trump is putting in the second time. And then all the conversation and all the reporting ensues, which then creates the havoc in the market. It's the reporting that causes the havoc. Folks, we haven't even felt any of the tariffs yet. So the reaction of the market is based on what they're writing. Why weren't they writing this about the tariffs that were put in place the first time? Look, man, I don't know exactly what the best solution is going to be. And the truth is, neither do any of these people that are reporting. They just got talking points and they're going with it. The Treasury Secretary doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. Who knows what Trump's going to do? Does Trump know what Trump's going to do? I can tell you this. A lot of people are very excited about what's happening with the China distributors and manufacturers that are reaching out personally, putting out content, saying, hey, we make those expensive bags you pay $1,000 for. We make them for $40. Want one? Give us 45. What people are not thinking about is, how long can China put up with not getting the $45? I know they're saying, hey, look how America marks up everything. And yeah, that's a good point. And we should look at that. We should look at how retailers mark up everything 10, 20, 30, unconscionable. It should be almost illegal. No, not almost. It should be illegal how much they mark up items that they sell in these stores. It should be against the law how they gouge us every day. Walmart, Target. See, I don't want to talk about that. He want to talk about DEI. Let's talk about them products, those products in the shelves of Costco, and Sam's Club, and all the other retailers that have been marked up 10, 20, 30, 40 times. All the designer items, for instance, that are marked up. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the leverage of the markups are. But if you can buy a pair of shoes directly from China for $5, and then you're paying $200 at the Foot Locker or the Foot Center or whatever, hell, that should be against the law, man. And that's really what the problem is, right? I mean, that's part of the problem. That's why they got all these gross amount of profits that they make by using that cheap labor in order to make these products and then charging us as if They're paying real working wages to get the manufacturing done of those products when they're not. So they're the only ones. See, look, the corporations are benefiting from the slave labor prices, the lack of employee protections of the people that create the items in these countries. But they're not passing that savings on to us. They're keeping all of that profit. So yeah, that's the real reason why people are getting mad. And so this process, for nothing else, this process, these tariffs have opened a conversation and a dialogue that's lifted the veil not only on China, what China's doing, but about what America's doing. The average American knows a lot more now about how much they're getting screwed than they ever knew. And I think that's a good thing. A person that peddles and peddles in the truth, who disseminates truth, that speaks truth, me, this is my job, I'm glad. I'll take truth any way I can get it, any way that gets it out there. My platform is not big enough to reach enough people to tell them the truth. And right now what we have is we had the truth getting out. And people are seeing the truth. And I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Folks, I would love to be able to tell you what I think is going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. No idea. But I do know this. I don't root against America because I live here. I root for America, just like anybody else roots for their home country and the country they live in. We got some people rooting against the country. They must not have kids and grandkids in this country. I don't have a passport. Maybe I should get one. I'm glad the truth's coming out about how much we're getting screwed, how American citizens are being screwed, how American consumers are being screwed by corporations, how they're not only employing slave labor in other countries, then they're hitting us over the head with all this extra added profit built in. This should be a level that you don't exceed when you're making profits on people. This just got to be a level. It's got to be a level. It's got to be. All right, guys, let me know what you think about this content. Hit the like button if it makes sense. Let's get the algorithm involved. I appreciate y'all. I don't know if we got anything else left. That may be the last one.
Advocates have been warning we are on the verge of a constitutional crisis. Has that crisis arrived, Senator?
Yes, it has, unfortunately, because Trump wants to be king. A king doesn't have a constitution. A king just does whatever he wants, and Biondi just goes along with them. They're trying to intimidate judges. This is not the first time or the second. They've said they want to impeach judges. They said they're going to go after judges who don't agree with them. That is so against the Constitution. The Constitution believes, and has been written with the wisdom of the founding fathers, that we should have separation of powers. There should be an independent judiciary. When you go before a judge, you think that you hope and believe that that judge is impartial. What Trump, Biondi, and the whole Justice Department are trying to do is push that judge, threaten that judge, so the judge is no longer impartial. It is outrageous in both cases. In both cases, you can't believe what they said. You know, in the case with the 2-year-old girl, they're saying, the mother wanted to take her. Well, she's entitled to due process. The father says that's not true. And I don't believe ICE or anything they say, because they've made up things so many times in the past. Now, this is a constitutional crisis. You cannot have a democracy without an independent judiciary, and they're trying to clip the wings of that independence.
Next.
Man, what's this guy talking about? Oh, Chuck doesn't believe cops now. Interesting. Because you got the NYPD right there in New York. You believe them? It's just ICE that makes up stuff. Yeah, man, it's always funny, man. It's very self-serving, this whole argument, man. This whole argument. And let me get this right. Democrats are upset because it appears that Trump and his administration, the Department of Justice, may be playing politics. Maybe playing politics and going after the judges. They're playing politics and doing things with political motivations. I wonder why they would do that. I wonder who set a precedent for playing politics, using the Department of Justice to play politics against their adversaries. Let me think real hard. Who did that? Who set the precedence for doing that? Damn, I can't come up with it, man. God, I'm getting old, man. It was right there on the tip of my tongue. Oh, I know, the Democrats. They tried to lock up Donald Trump for paying a hooker off 15 years ago or some crazy shit, 10 years ago, for a relationship that took place 20 years ago, 30 years ago. He had a one-night stand with her. And to keep her from writing a book, he gave her $30,000 or something. And then you gave him 55 felonies, of which I got to hear about. All of America has to hear about every 2 seconds. Yeah, I wonder who set the precedent. Oh, wow. The Democrats never considered maybe going after Trump with these souped-up charges that were misdemeanors. Maybe that would come back and bite them in the ass. They didn't even consider it, huh? That's how arrogant they are. Man, any person that's from any, even the most tamest of hoods knows when you ride on them people ride on you. It's like the basics. You know, you beat one of our guys up, we beat one of yours up. I mean, it's pretty simple. Hey, I seen toddlers do it. He took my block. Took my toy. Well, take her toy. I took her toy because she took my toy. This happens, but only to hear in the Democratic Party and in corporate media, liberal corporate media, where they pretend as if the gooses and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They pretend that's not a reality when we all know it. This goes back to Aesop's fables. Jesus Christ. Yeah, the Democrats are just getting a taste of their own medicine. And how could I feel sorry about that? We got a judge. You're saying she's being harassed. It looks like she broke the law and got caught breaking the law. And I think she damn well knows what the law is because she helped enforce it every day against American citizens for which she doesn't break the law. So yeah, so sorry if we choose not to cry a river about this one judge who's held in contempt for breaking the law. At least in the movies, when the lawyer or the judge does something against the law to help a client, when they lose their job, they kind of expect it. They don't cry, and then the news picks the story up and make it a major issue. It's like, I'm done with this job. You know? Isn't this out of a movie or something where the cop is tired of being a part of a dirty deed or whatever? They don't like the corruption, so they do the right thing and then they turn their badge in. They take a stand for the people. Not this judge. This judge says, I don't want to be a part of this important mess. Let me help this man escape deportation. And then she cries to the cameras and everybody cries for her doing the thing that she says she did, that she knows she did. She doesn't deny doing it, running the guy down away from ICE to avoid being apprehended when there was a warrant for his arrest to be deported. You know? I mean, we started this, some of you guys may not know, you might not have been here. Did a story earlier where a black cop was pulled over a black woman and her child. The woman ran a stop sign, blew a stop sign. So pulled her over, find out she has a warrant. He has to lock her up. And the mother says, could you let me do my baby's hair first before you take her away? Before you take me away. And it's a touching moment. That cop didn't let her go, give her all the money out of his wallet and tell her to make a run for it. Took her ass to jail. Because this ain't a movie. But he was nice enough to let her do her daughter's hair. In this story, I guess they expect the judge let the guy go, and then the guy gets caught anyway. And so does she. And that's what happens, and that's why the black cop did not let the sister go. He had to do his job. And if he would have let the sister go, and there would be ramifications and consequences and repercussions for his actions of not doing his job, he would have had to take that because he knew it going in. He knew the job was dangerous when he took it, Johnson, and that judge knew what she was doing was against the law. Ask Joe Brown. All right, guys, I'm Tim Black. Thank you for tuning into the Tim Black Show once again. Go to timblackmug.com, pick up a mug. Go to timblackpause.com to pick up gear from the Tim Black Show. And with that, let's go to comment sections. Anybody here? Black Mama's in the house. Thank you, Black Mama, for supporting us and reminding people where to go pick up a mug. Lou Maldonado. Recap, deport, 2, refer to number 1. Yolandia. Super sticker from Yolandia. Thank you, sister. I appreciate you. Kirk Alton in the building. Steven basically said, I don't want to lose my money. Took a lot of work out to get it out, though. Didn't he, yo? Didn't he? Come on, man. Who's surprised? Surprise, surprise, surprise. Steven A. don't want to mess up his money. Duh. Trust no party. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Man, it is all good. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We're back at it. Be back tomorrow at 10:30 p.m. That's it. That's all. Got nothing but love for you. Don't let anybody take your cornbread. Democrats or Republicans. Keep your cornbread, please. All right, guys. Like I always say, where are my ladies at? Where are my ladies? Oh, there they go.